Good Friday. There we are. Good Friday, everyone. I'm sitting here with St. Constance, Holy Mother, St. Constance. And we've been talking all morning about sacrifice. And,
well, not all morning.
well, not all morning, no. We did our devotionals.
We watched Democracy Now! Come on.
We watched Democracy Now!
And then we decided to talk about sacrifice.
That's life around here. Sacrifice, it ain't what it used to be, okay? First of all, even the word sacrifice has been twisted to mean something perverse, like paying a ransom of some kind. Yes?
Sacrifice, I think, is probably, I've read somewhere and agree with it, is a limitation on giving.
Isn't that a great...
Anyway.
Yeah, as it's come to be understood, it seems like it's giving, all right, a sacred gift, but the way it's been handled for about the last 2,000 years or so, and even before, is that it's a limitation on it, a deal, if you will. Right? But when I say sacrifice, it ain't what it used to be. What did it used to be? Let's just start with that. And if we're, because we're sort of using the Christian Holy Week here as our springboard for exegesis here. And today,
besides, excuse me, we always used to do our Gnostic Mass on Good Friday.
That's right.
That's why Lon's in the mood for this.
We always did a Gnostic Mass for many, many years on Good Friday. And there's sort of Wagnerian reasons for that, the Gnostic Mass being sort of an esoteric, mystic Christianity, magico kind of thing. We always did a Mass on Good Friday. And today we're going to do what we more or less consider is the Good Friday spell from the Gnostic Mass. Just that little section of it, don't worry. But if sacrifice ain't what it used to be, what did it used to be? And just on that Christian train of thought, it started with it started with human sacrifice. And Crowley said, it's necessary for us to consider carefully the problem connected with the bloody sacrifice. For this reason, it is indeed traditionally important in magic. Nigh all ancient magic revolves around this matter, in particular all Osirian religions. The rites of the dying god refer to this. This is the slaying of Osiris and Adonis, the mutilation of Attis, the cults of Mexico and Peru, the story of Heracles and Melkarth, the legends of Dionysus and of Mithra. All are concerned with this one idea. In the Hebrew religion, we find the same thing inculcated. The first ethical lesson of the Bible is that the only sacrifice pleasing to the Lord is the sacrifice of blood.
The blood is the life, Mr. Renfield.
Yes, the blood is the life, Mr. Renfield. Abel, who made this, finding favor with the Lord, while Cain, who offered cabbages, was rather naturally considered a cheap sort. The idea recurs again and again. We have the sacrifice of Passover, following the story of Abraham's being commanded to sacrifice his firstborn son. The idea of the substitution of animal for human life. So if we can just sort of look at this anthropologically, we've got everybody happily conforming what they thought was the formula of their age, that if you kill something, maybe you'll get something good in return. And so they kill people, which is one of the best things you could kill, I guess. Give up, put a limit on your giving.
Oh, unless they just killed their enemies, which they weren't too upset about giving up.
At least in Mexico, it was a big advance. Well, we got all these prisoners.
Well, they did that everywhere in the world.
But the idea being, in the evolution of it anyway, in the Hebrew religion, was Abraham's all of a sudden said, wait, I'm not going to let's stop killing our firstborn babies, our firstborn male children. Let's stop that. And I think it just worked just as good if we kill a lamb or a cow or an aardvark or something. God likes that. Just burn him. He likes the smell, you know.
Of course, all the fat is the Lord's, and we ate all the meat part.
That's it's funny how that worked, you know. That's one of my favorite Bible quotes.
That is my favorite.
That is Constance's favorite Bible.
All the fat is the Lord's. Okay.
Look it up. Okay. But anyway, so a few thousand years later, at Passover, in the story of the move from the Old Testament to the New, we have the myth or the fable of Christ at the Last Supper, celebrating Passover, and instead of eating a lamb at Passover, Jesus said, "Hey guys, look, it's time to lighten up. This bread's going to work, and that wine's going to work. Looks like blood anyway. It's good stuff. Just eat this bread, drink this. Okay, because that's my body and my blood, and I'm something very vaporous and abstract." Okay. What do you want to say, dear?
So they mistranslated what he said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, this is my.
Constance
I have a rant.
Constance is ranting. Yeah.
The quote is, "Do this in remembrance of me." When he said, "This is my body, this is my blood," but they wouldn't like that translation. He said, "Do this in remembrance of me." I think he really said, "Do this and remember you are me."
I think that would be perfectly accurate to do that. But anyway, so there's that blood thing we got going, and today is this idea in the Christian calendar of the supreme self-sacrifice, which it's getting halfway there, because that's the selfless sacrifice of self, and it was immediately snatched by the Osirians to be God with a beard like Abraham's beard gave his son, and what did he give it for? Well, we'll figure out something political that he gave it for, and we'll accept that. First of all, let's form an army to celebrate this pacifist.
Yeah.
Okay. But we digress. Okay.
We don't get to talk about arms salesmen this morning.
We're on an arms salesman kick this morning, too.
Okay.
I started us out with this hanged man. Okay, this symbol of at least in the old aeon of sacrifice, and the point I'm trying to make with this morning's thing is that sacrifice ain't what it used to be. It still is the sacred gift, but our idea of what is that sacred gift is evolving, or should be evolving. And for the purpose of the aeon itself, it has evolved. Now, somewhere around here, I have an insanely good book on the Thoth Tarot, written by a younger man. Every cell in my body has replaced itself since I wrote this. Here's what Crowley...
It's not doing a very good job. Mine either.
Okay. To paraphrase what I said concerning the Hierophant, your Aeon of Horus, your Aeon of Horus hanged man, it ain't the new Aeon hanged man, Age of Horus hanged man.
What?
I guess I'll say that again. To paraphrase what I said concerning the Hierophant, to 12 is not your Aeon of Osiris hanged man. Meat, beef, it's what's for dinner. No. Sacrifice, it ain't what it used to be. And beef is not is not what's for dinner.
You shouldn't have me sit here.
Yeah.
I'm thinking tofu.
Neither is the hanged man the Aeon, neither is it the hanged man of the Aeon of Isis. Crowley makes a tremendous attempt to explain why this is so in the Book of Thoth. Please don't misunderstand me. I mean no disrespect when I use the words attempt to explain. I am certainly not suggesting that I could explain things any better. It's just very clear to me that when Crowley sat down to write his commentary on the hanged man, he must have swallowed a handful of, I think I will try to explain everything in the innermost secrets of life and all of the mysteries of high magic and the universe in general pills.
Or he'd been to the bathroom. No,
Or he checked into the bathroom with a couple of friends in a mirror. Okay. He gives a pretty good try. He even offers us several revealing paragraphs concerning the most profound secrets of sexual alchemy. Okay. But anyway, I'll cut to the chase. It's too late for that. This card is beautiful in a strange, immemorial, moribund manner. It is the card of the dying god. Its importance in the present pack is merely that of a cenopath. And a cenopath is like a tombstone where the body is buried someplace else. He also equates the hanged man with the appendix. It had a function once, but
No, it's part of your immune system.
right now it just gives us trouble.
No, it's part of the immune system.
Yeah. Okay.
Just ignorant of it.
That being said, Crowley has left us with the Mass of the Gnostic Catholic Church, or Liber 15. And the word sacrifice is actually used in a couple places in the Mass. Now, no matter what you've read on the internet, babies aren't killed in the Gnostic Mass. I know that's a disappointment to many of you. to many of you.
You'll probably get tagged just for saying
Oh yeah, this will be on. No babies are killed in the filming of this Gnostic Mass. Neither is it a sacrifice of the priest or the priestess per se. Okay? It's not a blood sacrifice. The elements that are consumed as the Eucharist are pretty much bread and wine. What is it a sacrifice of? Constance is...
Well, you have something to you can. Well, what is it a sacrifice of? Oh, holy man!
It's a sacrifice of self, which we immediately give away. And if we don't give it away, communion hasn't been accomplished. What were you just going to say, dear?
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Well, the priest takes communion
Priest takes communion.
after all the consecration and a bunch of stuff.
After the priests and priestess have dissolved in ecstasy and created the baby in the host and wine,
Yes.
and then he eats the host and
And
wine.
the priest eats the host and says, "There's no part of me that is not of the gods." And then the people communicate, as did the priest, uttering the same words in an attitude of resurrection. "There is no part of me that is not of the gods," which he turned to the people and said this, by the way. So the communicants also turn to the people in the audience and say, "There is no part of me that is not of God," which is a bit like, "Namaste, I have eaten this baby and become son of God, child of God, and now I am completing the loop, the circle, and because you can't receive it unless you give it," by turning to the crowd and saying, "Look, there's no part of me that is not the gods, and I'm really big, and we're all just one big God here. We're all one big son of God.
It's
here."
really a communion.
Yeah, so we're really big one son of God here. Get it? So, anyway.
So, the word sacrifice is actually used in the preparation of these elements. Accept, O Lord, this sacrifice of life and joy. True warrants of the covenant of resurrection.
Which may mean it's just a sacrifice of your sense of separation from God.
I would tend to agree with that. Okay. Back to the Christian myth. When the sacrifice, when the Father God with the long beard in the sky accepted the sacrifice of his son on the cross, the Gospels, I think all of them, all four, at least three of them, say when he died, when he gave it up, when he ejaculated his soul into God in the absolute, the veil of the temple was rent in twain, as if a new thing is now being revealed. And in the Gnostic Mass, there is a moment when the veiled altar, the veiled high altar, is unveiled, and the goddess is revealed on the altar holding the elements. And Constance and I are sort of going to walk through that section of the Mass for you this morning. The priestess has got the priest out of the tomb. And he's been dead all along. It's a strange thing. He walks out of a tomb. And she awakens him. She arouses and awakens him, gets him out of the tomb and gets him prepared to do their mystic marriage. She kneels and she strokes the lance, his lance, 11 times and says, "Be the Lord present among us." And everybody says, "So mote it be." Then he says, "Thee therefore whom we adore, we also invoke. By the power of the lifted lance, I, priest and king, take thee virgin pure, without spot. I lead thee to the east, I set thee upon the summit of the earth." And then he thrones the priestess on the high altar. The priest hands off the lance to the deacon for a moment to hold. And he blesses the priestess. He sprinkles her with water and then purifies her with the incense. Then he takes back his lance and draws the veil over the altar. Nobody can see now. It's a mystery what's going on back there. And then he circumambulates the temple, he and the deacon, and if there's actually children, the children follow too. And then he returns to the east and he mounts the first step. And as we keep repeating, there's 3 steps upon, or there's a dais of 3 steps upon the top of which is the high altar. And the priest returns to the east, mounts the first step. "O circle of stars, whereof our father is but the younger brother, marvel beyond imagination. Soul of infinite space, before whom time is ashamed, the mind bewildered and the understanding dark. Not unto thee may we attain unless thine image be love. Therefore by seed and root and stem and bud and leaf and flower and fruit do we invoke thee." Then the priest answered and said unto the Queen of Space, kissing her lovely brows in the dew of her light, bathing his whole body in a sweet-smelling perfume of sweat, "O Nuit, continuous one of heaven, let it be ever thus that men speak not of thee as one, but as none. And let them speak not of thee at all, since thou art continuous.
But to love me is better than all things, if, under the night stars in the desert, thou presently burnest mine incense before me, invoking me with a pure heart, and the serpent flame therein, thou shalt come a little to lie in my bosom. For one kiss wilt thou then be willing to give all, but whoso gives one particle of dust shall lose all in that hour. Ye shall gather goods and store of women and spices. Ye shall wear rich jewels. Ye shall exceed the nations of the earth in splendor and pride, but always in the love of me. And so shall ye come to my joy. I charge you earnestly to come before me in a single robe and covered with a rich headdress. I love you. I yearn to you. Pale or purple, veiled or voluptuous, I who am all pleasure and purple and drunkenness of the innermost sense desire you. Put on the wings and arouse the coiled splendor within you. Come unto me, to me, to me. Sing the rapturous love song unto me. Burn to me perfumes, wear to me jewels, drink to me, for I love you. I love you. I am the blue-lidded daughter of sunset. I am the naked brilliance of the voluptuous night sky. To me, to me.
The priest then mounts the second step. O secret of secrets, that art hidden in the being of all that lives, not thee do we adore, for that which adoreth is also thou. Thou art that, and that am I. I am the flame that burns in every heart of man, and in the core of every star. I am life and the giver of life, yet therefore is the knowledge of me the knowledge of death. I am alone. There is no God where I am. And the deacon now raises the people off their feet and intones, but ye, O my people, rise up and awake. Let the rituals be rightly performed with joy and beauty. There are rituals of the elements and feasts of the times. A feast for the first night of the prophet and his bride. A feast for the 3 days of the writing of the book of the law. A feast for Tahuti and the child of the prophet, secret, O prophet. A feast for the supreme ritual, and a feast for the equinox of the gods. A feast for fire, and a feast for water. A feast for life, and a greater feast for death. A feast every day in your hearts, in the joy of my rapture. A feast every night unto new, and the pleasure of uttermost delight. Now the priest mounts the third step. Thou who art one, our Lord in the universe, the Son, our Lord in ourselves, whose name is Mystery of Mystery, uttermost being, whose radiance, enlightening the worlds, is also the breath that maketh every god, even and death, to tremble before thee. By the sign of light, appear thou glorious upon the throne of the sun. Make open the path of creation and of intelligence between us and our minds. Enlighten our understanding. Encourage our hearts. Let thy light crystallize itself in our blood, fulfilling us of resurrection. Akadua tu furbihu biachafu dudu nera fanu teru.
There is no law beyond do what thou wilt.
And the priest parts the veil. Iho, 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 iao, sabao, curie abrasax, curie methras, curie fale, iho pan, pan, iho iskuros, iho thanaton, iho abroton, iho iao, kaire fale, kaire panthage, kaire pangenitor, hagios, 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 iao. The priestess is revealed, seated with the paten in her right hand and the cup in her left. The priest presents the lance, which she kisses 11 times. She holds it to her breast, while the priest, falling at her knees, kisses them, his arms outstretched along her thighs. He remains in this adoration while the deacon intones the collects. And that's our Good Friday spell. See you tomorrow for Holy Saturday.
The day he stayed down.
What'd you say?
Lon used to call it the day he stayed down.
The day he stayed down. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law.
Love is the law. Love